And let's talk about it real fast because Diddy has added a new lawyer to the case. There she is. There she is. There go Nicole Westmoreland from her social media account. You can't say social media is not booming right now. Social media can get you put on the world stage. Now, she's joined the legal team, and guess what her role is? Now, don't forget to hit the like button. I think I'm moving a little too fast. It's a smart move. It's a very strategic move. Not, I wouldn't say smart just yet. It's a strategic move. One would say, it reeks of desperation. Another would say, why are we here? Then another move would say, oh, I get it. Keep Diddy free Tory Lanez. Y'all are something else. But this is why I say you got, because see, this is a tabloid reporter. She used to work for TMZ. This is how TMZs are related to this, and that's why it's such a weird scenario. Now, Mark Geragos, right, who is a lawyer, and he has a podcast show with the other lawyer who used to be a lawyer. Now he owns TMZ, Harvey Levin. I'm a lawyer. So those two sit there and have a podcast show, right? And during their podcast show, you start to see different things show up on the scene. Not only is TMZ, Mark Grigos and them have this podcast show, Diddy got yelled at. The whole legal team is yelled at because of what Mark Grigos said on a podcast show about the prosecution. He is not on Diddy's legal team. But the judge said they're going to be watching it because he called the prosecution a six-pack of white women. You got a six-pack of white women, and the judge, that would not be tolerated anywhere. I don't know what lawyer would be tolerated saying that about the prosecution. I'll be watching your podcast to see what you say about this trial with great interest. So now the judge is watching that podcast show, right? That is very weird. And right before they start and while they're doing the jury process, they add this black woman to the team. Now, this black woman, Nicole Westmoreland, has a lot of growing issues of herself. She's not just a black woman. She's a black woman that's best friends with Teny Garagos. Teny is on the legal team as an aide. Another one of the lawyers. That's the daughter of Mark Garagos, who's doing the podcast. So his daughter is on the case, who's also a lawyer. And now you just added the black lady who used to work as a tabloid reporter and used to do work for TMZ. She's now joined the legal team to work alongside Xavier Robert Donaldson. TMZ is all in this trial, buddy. Woo! They are all in this trial. What's up? They are all involved in this trial. TMZ is all involved in this trial. Now, here's where, that's where I meant, like, it might not be smart to have her included, but because she works for TMZ, Teny's involved as well. That's the daughter of Mark. Mark is saying stuff on the podcast. You just got chewed out about it, and it's pissing the judge off. Might not be smart to bring her along, but the reason she's there is because she's a black woman. 2, she has been SA'd in Atlanta, where it's graphic details of how she went to a house and she went to see somebody at a house, and then she was in a bathroom. She was forced to do some very graphic things. So now she's went through that SA case, and they said, wow, if a woman like that can be standing next to Sean Diddy Combs, she must think he's innocent of these crimes. And she's been through it. So why would a woman who's been through SA and all of these things stand next to Diddy? A black woman at that. If she can stand up next to Diddy and defend him in this case, then she believes he's innocent. So that's the appearance. That's the goal they're reaching for right now. That's what you're supposed to do. If you're fighting for your life, I'm not finna go in there light going, damn, I should have put 3 more lawyers on the case. Everybody going on the case. The grandmama going on the case. The granddaddy going on the case. Right. You want everybody on the case you know you need on the case. Everybody else can go jump in the wazoo. Diddy knew going into this situation what it was going to look like, what it was going to appear to be. It was no mistaken identity. He knew what it was. I had to get this rabbit out of here. He in here tearing my grass up. Why do I have 5 squirrels on my tree? I'm gonna have to come out here and get y'all up out of here. Well, it all depends, man. You have a lot of what we like to call influence. It's a lot of political influence out here. You've seen it time and time again. Because what's known is the appearance. As you seen Diddy come out looking like an old man. Diddy looked like an old broken down man. Diddy come out with the all gray. Diddy had the choice and he had the chance if he wanted to dye his beard. You know? Diddy had the choice. He chose. not to dye his beard. He chose to wear a sweater instead of a suit. Wearing a suit kind of gives the impression of business as usual. You know, like a sweater makes you seem like the common man. And that's what they wanted. We want the common man. So that's what they were pushing for. So that's what they ended up with. The common Diddy. Now, granted, most of these individuals are completely different. They think different, they breathe different. Their mentality is different. And they move in different tropes and hang in different groups. Diddy hangs out with a more financially set bunch of people who acquiesce in high-profile accountability. Now, Mark, he's part of the Diddy family, as far as always being there as a lawyer or whatever. So he's representing Diddy's mother in another legal case, and he's not on this trial. So his daughter is able to do it, which means he's really on the case. He's going to help his daughter out. She's just there in name, but legally, because he's dealing with the mother, he can't be involved in this case as you see fit, right? Now, what we've known beforehand is kind of what we know now. Overdoing something is better than underdoing it. That's what they'll say. Where we're overdoing this so that we never ever have to do this again. That's the goal. Now, you look at the narratives and you look at Sean Puffy Combs, and they say, well, Puff, this is the way we see it. This is how we see it going down. Look at this old man broken down in a sweater. They've stripped him of everything. And they saying the prosecution isn't playing games. Oh, they're playing games. They waited to Cassie. That's why they didn't want to delay the trial. They wanted her to be fully pregnant so she could get the mercy of the jury, because she's a pregnant woman. So a pregnant woman must be telling the truth. Look at her with her baby. So they want to get as many females as possible up there to get that sympathy for the pregnant woman. So don't think the prosecution isn't playing strategic games as well. These are chess moves. Sinuses, B. Sinuses. Teach your man how to squabble. Get that trigger next time, nigga. I know, right? That's the crazy part about it. That's the crazy part. That's what gets my attention and get my antennas going up. Because when I see that, what it tells me is that the desperation is there. Once the desperation is there, you start to see how people react once they start seeing desperation. Mm-hmm. I don't stand by Diddy's I don't stand by Diddy's his ways, his actions, like what he actually does. That's his thing. Well, when you look at what's going on as far as what you think about what's been cooked up, what's not, and what they might have on trial and what they might have in the case. Mm-hmm. Well, that's because see, they needed more evidence and they weren't getting it. See, what Diddy was asking for and his legal team is that, look, we need more evidence. Y'all are bringing up all this stuff in the press. A lot of this stuff that was in the media is not in this case, and they're trying to confuse people. All this stuff, that's why they throw all these civil cases out and saying all of these stuff. But when the juror, that's going to end up backfiring in the legal proceedings because all this disinformation and misinformation that was going on with the civil cases and all these crazy civil suits against Diddy, now it's going to come full circle because now you're looking at a situation where things are going to go in a different path, a different direction. The general public is not going to be as forgiving when it comes to said activity. And then Diddy's sons that was, going through the stress and dealing with all of it, that's Al B. Sure's biological son, but let's be honest. He was raised by Diddy. Diddy was his dad.
Now, that could be for one of two reasons. One is he knows things or suspects things about Mr. Combs. The other one is that he's just got a real perverse sense of competition.
One thing I know for sure is that when it comes to our culture, sometimes we cannibalize our own more than anybody else. And we've seen the former president of the United States inspire the country to turn into Spider-Man and climb up the Capitol to overthrow the government in the middle of an election. But yet we haven't seen his mugshot or seen his kids handcuffed. I've known Justin for probably 15 years. I'm sorry, Quincy, one of his sons, and his other sons. Those are really good kids. So to see them in handcuffs, to see them put on display as criminals, or to be put into the conversation that they somehow are ushering underage kids into the compound for their dad to have their way with them. Those aren't the kids that I know.
Overdoses.
And right away, what do you see? Cassie Ventura, a person no one would have known if it wasn't for Diddy, is now at the center of the focal point of this entire investigation. Somebody that they're acting like they care about. I knew a girl who dated a guy because he was fun, he was popular, he had a lot of money, and she thought this is a way to get some shine. She met him in a strip club. Right. It's all coming out. Now, everybody's gonna be happy and unhappy with some of the situations you're seeing that's coming out. On the Patreon today, we will bring out this lawsuit against Smokey Robinson and all this stuff. We'll talk about that on the Patreon. Mm-hmm. Well, to be accepted, you have to understand what you're being accepted into. Diddy, I'm not saying she's not a good lawyer, this Nicole. I don't know what her legal ramifications was. I know she tried to get Tony Braxton's husband, locked up and accused him of, the essay charge and all of that stuff. But Smokey Robinson case, we're gonna go into on the Patreon. Mm. Yeah, when you see people break down and they tell people certain things, or oh man, it was always like that. It's always gonna be like that when it's a black man, dude. Telling you straight up. A lot of people had high expectations that this would be resolved. So it's a question of do you pretty much approve of one person's behavior or not? I don't approve of the behavior he used. I don't approve of anybody going and doing those type of things. That's just the way they get down. Well, you got to make sure you're doing everything on your part. Oh, it's 100%. Diddy has always been someone who was looked at and judged pretty much unfairly, right? Well, they would say that constantly, but who's to say? Death threats from the Bronze fans. I don't really get them from Bronze fans. That only comes from like rappers. Like I get them from Drake fans. Oh yeah, Meek Mill fans, Drake fans. It was the Meek Mill one was the crazy one. Well, the problems that kept happening on the set is when you start seeing a lot of different activities transpire. Well, when they start saying everything happens for a reason, this highlight and well, this highlights a difference in what I would say, not opinion, but it's about lifestyle. Like people are scared now in Hollywood to go out and throw the type of parties that they're used to throwing. Well, you gotta no, those parties are a little bit more guarded than how they used to be because everybody's running to these courts and if this is a victory for Cassie against Diddy, this is not a singular event. If they are able to pull the scam off, especially with these civil lawsuits, you'll have any chick that slept with a rapper or anything from back in the day. If they doing something, they want to come forward and say, "Oh, I was forced." Certain people had a different mentality. Yes, it's praise for one, disdain for another. Mm. Um, what you're seeing is a different conundrum altogether. Hmm. No, I think Diddy is doing the right thing, hiring the right people. Absolutely, it's a winnable case. Well, most of these guys are billionaires early in, or millionaires or multimillionaires. But Diddy, you don't get to be where Diddy is without connections, without knowing people in the industry. Well, they're going body for body. So when you start looking at what is the truth, what is reality, what is, well, when you start looking into the fun of things and you start looking into the glory days and you start looking into the times where it was all real. Yeah, well, you got to understand if you move in these different tropes, you going to have people coming out saying some of the dumbest things, some of the weirdest statements. I've heard the weirdest things about Diddy. And for what? Hmm. I want to know what it's going to bring to the table now that they got this new lawyer. How, like, what is she really going to add except for the fact that she's a black woman who's been in an SA case before? Well, it's a different situation altogether, to be honest. Most of these people don't know how Hollywood really works. They chew you up and spit you out. Hollywood been coming after me for the past 6 months, heavy. I mean, heavy. It's like 6, 7 months Hollywood's been after me. Y'all don't even know. But on the Patreon, we'll go all into it. But the last 6, 7 months, they've been trying to come after me heavy. And I ain't worried about no LeBron fans. One of my Patreon videos was made public. And once I did that, it shocked the world. People went crazy, and it went from there. Well, it's a matter of what is it that you're comfortable with? What is it that you want to do? They didn't want to essentially make something a big thing when it wasn't. Are you kidding me? If they wanted it to be something, it would have been something. Yeah. Well, people got to realize when you go into a situation where you are doing the company's work in Hollywood, they will find a way to come and try to mute you and silence anything that you try to do. Um, Well, they never looked at anything that people chose to want to do. No, they didn't have the opportunities to deliver at said time. They're trying to go through the procedures of taking in what people can imagine and change and do. And, it's always a different level. Well, when you put that in words of what you just said, they'll come after you in so many different ways. Boy, I didn't got under the skin of Hollywood within the past 6 months. Mm. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be big moments, right? All right, I got a meeting to take too. But like right now, this video here, they kept it at a restricted level, pretty much blocked everybody else out. People didn't get a notification for this video. Well, it's all a matter of an opinion. But trust me, there's a lot going on. But let me get out of here and get ready for this meeting. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Or tonight. We should be going live.